Hey, what's going on, y'all? So today's another day. Another day above ground is always a blessing. As you can see, we live from the bed, bro. You know, just chilling, cozied up. You know what I mean? I was contemplating on even sharing this story because I shared it on my IG. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna share it here because I think I don't think I was as detailed. So I'm gonna go ahead and share it on my YouTube platform, and I'm gonna let you guys know this is a story about a woman named Kay. And I was reading Hebrews 13, and I was like, you know, this is a perfect scripture that describes my experience. And it's Hebrews 13, top of the verse. It says, "Keep on loving one another as brothers and sisters. Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." And I was like, yo, this reminds me of this woman I called Miss K. So here's the story. For those that don't know, I do heating. And this woman called one day. She was talking about her hot water. And she was explaining this situation she had with her hot water. Oh, excuse me, it was her heat. I think it was her heat. It was her heat. And it was an unfamiliar situation. I was like, you know what? I pray that God help me figure it out. I'm like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure this out. This is unfamiliar, but I'm going to figure it out. I get to the lady apartment. It's an older woman. And this woman has the most beautiful energy, bro. I can't explain. Every time I came around, every time we spoke, I would get chills. Every time. Mind you, just to give y'all context, I was going through a lot of stuff at this time. I had a lot of stuff on my mind. My daughter was just about to be born. She was in the process of being born. And I just had a lot on my mind. I was just like highly stressed. This is before I gave my life to Christ completely. And I just had so much on my mind. That's all I remember, is that I was so stressed. But I'm a person that don't show my stress. I still handle people with love and humility, even though I could be the most stressed in my mind. But I went to this woman's apartment. This woman has the most beautiful energy, bro. And the funny thing is, I was saying that I didn't know how to do the job, and I was like, God, help me figure it out. The lady had the tools. She knew what needed to be done, and she showed me exactly how to do it. But she was just saying that she was just too old to do the work. So I'm like, wow, look at God just answering the prayer, right? That was the beginning of our relationship. It's so ironic because this woman had nothing in her crib to ever show that she believed in Jesus Christ. But every time I went to her apartment, we would always talk about Christ. It never fails. We would always talk about Christ. We would talk about scripture. But mind you, this is before I gave my life completely to Christ. And I'm in an apartment with her, and we just talking. And mind you, like I said, I had a lot on my mind. I was overwhelmed. My spirit was just like, she didn't know this, but I was depleted. Spiritually, I was depleted. And every time I came, she would always ask me if I ate, if I had money to eat. She would always give me like $20 to go get lunch. And I would be like, nah, I'm okay. She'd be like, no, take it. Like the most beautiful woman, bro. And I remember this was like it was like a frequent thing. And I will always come like every other 2 weeks or so. And I remember I told her, I said, Miss K, just give me your number. That way, if you ever have a problem, you could just call me directly to my cell phone. And she gives me her number. But it was so weird because every time I called the number, it would just it wouldn't go through. So every time I go to her, I'll be like, Miss K, I don't know if you gave me the wrong number, but the number don't work. She's like, oh, that's probably my phone, So I said, all right, cool, no problem. I'm doing the work, and again, we talking about Christ, right? One day, I'm super overwhelmed to the point where I get to her apartment, and like I told y'all, this woman had the most amazing energy, bro. To the point where every time I spoke to her, I was getting chills. And I remember going to her apartment one day, and I was just talking, and as she's talking to me, I paused for a minute, and I was just dropping tears, just flooded with tears. It's my first time ever crying in front of a stranger in their apartment at work, because I was so overwhelmed. But I didn't carry that. But in that environment, her apartment, it just felt right. And I just started flowing with tears just coming out, and she gave me a hug, and she was just letting me know like everything's gonna be okay, everything's gonna be all right. And she was talking to me, and she was telling me like, you know, you're gonna be okay, it's all right. And she was just calling me her spiritual son. She would always say like, you know, you're like my spiritual son, you're my spiritual son. And it was this one time I went back to the apartment, and this is my last time. I was telling her, I'm like, Miss K, I'm gonna be leaving. You know, this is our last time, and I'm gonna be leaving. And she was like, oh, you know, but you know, it's just okay. You know, I'm gonna be here. Just come visit me sometime. So I said, all right, cool. Now, I had no problem visiting. Now, my daughter was born, right? So I said, my daughter's gonna be born. I would love for you to meet her. I said, if I'm in the area, I'll come and see you so you can meet my daughter. And she's like, yes, I would love that. I would love that. And my daughter's born, and this is probably like a month later. I'm probably about a month later, month and a half later, and I'm in the area where this woman lives, and I'm like, oh, let me go see Miss K. I kid you guys not, bro. I go, and I knew this was the apartment because she always had this logo on her door, this big letter on her door. That's how I knew it was her apartment, and it was K. And I went to the apartment. I knock on the door. I have my daughter with me, and I'm knocking on the door. This woman comes to the door, and she's like, who are you? I'm like, it's me. I'm like, Miss K, it's me. Da, 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 da. Like, she knew me by a different name. It's me, you know, Devon. And she's like, sir, I don't know who you are. I'm like, Miss K, it's me. I used to come to your apartment all the time to fix your heat. Remember, I used to come to your apartment all the time to fix your heat. And mind you, I have my daughter. And she's like, sir, there's no Miss K that live here. And I'm like, Miss, you sure? She's like, yes, I'm very sure there's no Miss K that lives here. And I'm sitting there stuck, and I'm just like going back and forth like, is this the right apartment? And I knew it was because it had the letter K on it. It was that big letter that I always would see. And that woman, she was never no Miss K there. It was a whole different person. Didn't even know me. And I'm sitting there thinking like, yo, like, where did this lady, what could have this lady have went in a matter of a month, bro? In a matter of a month. And I'm just like, I just was talking to her, and I was telling her that I was going to come here. She didn't tell me she was moving. She didn't tell me that, no signs or nothing. Went to this lady apartment. It was a whole different person in the apartment. So yeah, I truly believe that there are angels on earth, because like I said, every time I spoke to her, she would always talk about Christ. She would always comfort me, always give me food to eat, always making sure I was okay. And every time I went to her apartment, I went by myself. It was just me and her. She had nobody else in it. It was just me and her. I'm even getting chills talking about it right now. Because now that I think about it, I went with no one else. It was always me by myself. So I can't even say there was somebody else that could just say that I witnessed that. Like, I witnessed this woman. It was always me by myself. But yeah, that's my story, man. That's my story of, I believe that I've encountered an earth angel. And she was the most amazing person, man. The most amazing. But yeah, be nice to people, man. Show love to people. Give hospitality, because you just never know. You could be entertaining. You could be showing love, hospitality to an angel. Good night.